Great morning. This is Kareem, and you've tuned into another edition of Morning Manna with Pastor K. I'm so glad to have you this morning. Get on in here so that we can have this conversation. What would you do if you didn't fear? I want to have that conversation with you today. Listening to Crystal Rucker. Great morning. You guys get on in here this morning. You guys are coming in. Great morning to you. Great morning, great morning, great morning. Great morning to you all this morning. It's been a doozy. It's been hot as all get up. But I'm excited for you guys to come in this morning so we can have a great conversation. Cliff Carter, great morning to you. Those of you who are coming in, there would have been a link when you came in that gave you the right to allow StreamYard to post your comments. So when you allow it to do so, then I can see you like I see Cliff Carter this morning. Otherwise, you come in as just a Facebook user. So I don't get to see your name unless I go and I see you on my teleprompter. So those of you who are coming in, I see a number of you that are in here, but I don't see your names because you didn't allow StreamYard. Great morning, Ruth Rushlow, Ruth Phelps Rushlow. Great morning to you this morning. You guys are coming in. I'm chilling the Crystal Rucker this morning. You deserve, I love her voice. Great morning, great morning, great morning. Let's get in here and let's have this conversation. I want you all to walk in the fullness of your purpose. Great morning to you all. As you guys are coming in, I see you, I see you, I see you. Great morning. You guys that are coming in, I'm assuming that is you, Mother Babers. I see you tagging. Great morning. All right, let's get into this conversation. Hallelujah. All right, You Deserve. That was You Deserve by Crystal Rucker. I want you guys to get on in here. And next time you come in, please allow a StreamYard to be able to see and to use or to post your comments so that I can see what you're saying in here. Because I would love to engage you guys in such an interesting way. I want to show you something real quick. So you just come up as a Facebook user if you're not, if you don't allow it the opportunity to do it. Otherwise, you can come in and I can see you. Great morning, Cliff Carter. You know, Ruth Rushlow. Great morning to you as well. So stop being generic. Allow it to see and to get at you, okay? So here we go. We're going to continue in this conversation. You guys are coming in. I'm looking at you guys because some of y'all, I know y'all old school. You probably like, Pastor, we don't know what's going on this morning. But great morning, Annie Babers, Gloria Smith, Katrina Sanders, Vivian Rankins, Geraldine Bowen Walker. Mama, great to see you this morning. All of you that are coming in. It's funny. I was talking with my mom. She had a doctor's appointment. And she said she went to the doctor's appointment and she didn't know who the lady was in the office. And the lady was sitting there and they asked her name and she said, Geraldine Walker. They were like, Morning Manna. And she was like, okay. And they were like, Morning Manna. We know you from Morning Manna. She's like, yeah, that's my son. And they're like, yeah, we see you on there. So I think it's really cool to go out and people that are listening in and tuning into Morning Manna. So this is really, really, really cool. All right, today I want to begin this conversation with you all. There is so much that is going on and so many things that are happening, but we must always stay focused on the things that we have that we've been blessed to do. Great morning, Althea Duchess Anderson. I'm going to hit you up immediately after this. I got it right. Absolutely. You got it right, Cliff. Carla Mathis, great morning to you. See, Carla's on here. She comes in. Joyce Archibald. See all you guys. Come on in here this morning. All right. So I want you guys, I want to ask you, yesterday I asked you a question that I wanted you to ponder. And I want to continue that conversation with you all on this morning. What would you do if you did not have fear? If there was no fear of failure, what is it that you would do? What would you achieve? What would you make happen? See, Deacon Cliff, you're absolutely right. You got it right. I see you in there. We got a lot of Facebook users. Those of you who are just coming in, if you don't allow StreamYard to access your comments, which I know everyone's so afraid, all you get are just, these blanket posts. But when you allow it to do so, good morning, great morning to you as well, Jenny DeMore. Then we can see you, and then you're able to be a part of what we're talking about. I can still see you either way because I see you on my side monitor, but you can become part of my studio conversation. All right. All right. So those of you who are here on this morning, we're going to get going with this conversation. What would you do if you did not fear? And this is a very important question. There's a lot going on in our world and around our world. And it's really interesting because I see people who have great abilities, great talent. Hey, what's going on, Francis? Elizabeth Irving, mom. Okay. And I see people that are taking bold steps at living and being bold and doing the things that they want to do as it relates to standing up for their rights, but they don't stand up for their dreams. Good morning to you, Millicent Bowen, all the way out there in Texas, Arville Webb in Texas as well. I believe you're in Texas. All right, but and so what I began to ask, I said, how in the world can we be so bold to stand up for injustice and stand up for all of these other things? But if we could get these people, these same individuals, passionate about the things that are important to them in their lives, imagine how powerful we could be as a body. And so I wanted to say, some of you out there, and you've been saying that you wanted to do certain things. Many of you have dreams. Maybe it was, some people said there's a dream of them being an author. Maybe there was a dream of them opening a business. We are living in a season where dreams are coming true. But I do understand the idea. As a young man, I used to have fears of, well, what will people think? Or what if it doesn't work? And I allowed that thought process to be pervasive in my lifestyle. And what I realized was that the more I fixated on those thoughts, the less I became effective. So when I ask you the question once again, what would you do? I want to see, put it up here. If you did not have fear and there was no fear of failure, if I could remove the element of failure in your life, what is it that you would do? I want you to begin to show me. What would you do if you had no fear of failure? If failure was not an option, what would you do? I want you to put that in the comment. I want you to become accountable for it. I want you to become accountable. Come on, post it. What would you do if there was absolutely no fear of failure? Fear is a very real thing, and it's common. And so it's not something that is weird or not something that is extremely strange, but it is something that we have to begin to deal with, all right? Because fearful thoughts, they begin to talk to us. And the reality is that many of us, the moment we say that we're going to do something, I would really love to do this, I think I want to do this, you get inspired by a moment to do something amazing, fear begins to talk to you. And people don't realize it, but faith and fear are spirits. And the spirit that you allow to speak to you the most is the one that you begin to reflect, the one that your life begins to reflect. So as you begin to be inspired by God, because God brings inspiration, every good gift comes from above. God is the one who gives you the insight to say, okay, there we go. Carla Barton. She says she's going to start programming for young Black girls. When, Carla? Till they're all dead and there's none left? So we got to begin to ask this question. That is a great one. Beginning programming for young Black girls. What are some of these other things? He said that he would be a firefighter. That's great. Kids have great dreams. Clifford, starting my own transportation service. I would become a cardiologist. This is Millicent Bowen. I would become a cardiologist, but because of my age, pressing 60, what does 60 have to do about it? Aaliyah said it best. Age ain't nothing but a number. No, after, I'm not sure what that is. I think it's coronavirus. Jenny DeMore, do you think fear is installed in us at a young age? I'm going to tell you, your life, your spirit does not come into this world with fear attached to it. Why? because God placed you and he was forming you in the womb. And one of the ingredients of your DNA is not fear. Fear is an additive. It isn't a preservative that people place on you based upon the restrictions of your life. I want you all to understand that today. Fear is not something that you were born with. Fear is an additive. It is like jelly. It was something that was cooked up and squashed because someone else's dreams were squashed, because someone else was afraid. And they place it on you because of the limitations of their life. So the fears that we deal with often, but they can be examples of our experiences, but a lot of the fears that we deal with that keep us from being great, that keep us from pursuing, are fears that didn't even start with us, but they are the preservatives of someone else's life. And I call it a preservative because preservatives last forever. Anything that is alive, anything that is vital for life is something that is short-lived. It is something that you got to have every single day. And I need you to understand that until you begin to feed the faith of your life, and faith is vital. It requires nutrients every single day. Going back to school and trying to work, I believe stress would be a factor. I believe. See, that's where it all starts with. You're overcoming what stops you and what causes fear in your life starts with what you believe. You said that I believe it would require or cause stress in my life. Until you begin to do something, let me get through this because y'all about to have me preaching on something that I don't even want to preach about. But when you begin to think about fear, fear speaks. And the moment that faith enters onto the scene and says, I am going to do, fear begins to talk. And so your life is an expression of which voice you have allowed to minister to you at the most vulnerable times of your life. Those individuals who have been great and successful, and those individuals who have leaped out on faith, those individuals who have made great things happen, have allowed faith to speak in the opposition of fear. And when you allow faith to speak in the opposition, when fear speaks or stands or is trying to speak in your life, and you begin to listen to the voice of faith, you begin to take risks and take leaps that you were never, ever taken if you had listened to the voice of fear. All right, so there are certain kinds of fears that we have. We have fear of failure. We have fear of getting old and I'm no longer able to do it. I don't think I can do it. There's fear of getting hurt. There's a fear of how do I go back to school in a virtual world? That means I would have to deal. I have fear of computers, and I don't think I can learn computers. I'm not into that. And we say things every single day. We are hung by the power of our own tongue. Fear continually places. What do you call those things? Not fetters, but the meals. A meal thing, isn't that? What do you call it? Where they put blocks of stone on your feet. Fear paralyzes you completely. Absolutely, Terry. You took the words out of my mouth. Fear will paralyze you completely. But you've got to begin to plug your ears. Get you some spiritual cotton balls. And when fear speaks, you've got to plug your ears. And then when faith speaks, you unplug them and you allow it to feed you daily. Because faith is something that has to be eaten daily, just like vegetables. If you put a steak out on a counter, it'll last there for a very long time before it breaks down. If you put a vegetable or a fruit on the counter, guess what happens? It gets rotten within that day. Why? Because it's life force. And life force is not something that you allow to sit by idly. And many of you have been putting your life force for your dreams on the shelf and watching it die before your very eyes. And then what we do is we allow ourselves to get distracted by, oh, I got to do this for my kids. But the reality of it is we don't want to deal with the dream that we left on the shelf. We don't want to deal with the vision that has been unfulfilled, because vision is always going to speak to you. And many of you, whenever you're left alone to yourselves, you don't have peace because the vision or the dream that is sitting on the shelf. When you hear messages like this, you get frustrated and you get annoyed. And you're like, he can say that because he doesn't have to worry about. And really what it is the frustration of your vision that is sitting on the shelf speaking to you. Although you hear my words, your vision and your dream is speaking to your conscience saying, why did you let me die? But let's look at this. So we have all of these fears that we have to eat. How do we deal with this? And this is what I want to tell you this morning. Great morning, Shelia Hudson. Arville, all of you guys that are out there today, the way that you begin to overcome your fear of failure, your fear of being hurt, your fear of letting go, your fear of trying again. How do you do it? You got to make yourself a meal. You got to cook dinner, and you got to begin to eat your fears. At times we talk ourselves out of our own visions. We don't do it though, Terry. We think it's us talking ourselves out of our own visions, but it's the conversations that we have with fear. Stop having conversations with fear. Fear is going to arise. And every single day it wakes up wanting to have a conversation with you. Stop having the conversation with fear. But this is what I want you to begin to do. I want you to get up every single morning, and the first thing that I want you to begin to eat is fear. I want you to get you a plate out. Somebody needs to actually go in the kitchen and say, you know what? I got me a plate. I got me a plate here. And I want you to place that plate in front of you. And I said, you know what? Today, I'm having myself a full helping of fear. And you put the fear on the plate. Write it out. I got a fear of failure. Write that fear out. My conversation is the fear of being discouraged. That's right. Put the fear on the plate. And now today, my first meal for today is going to be, I am going to have a full serving of fear of, what did you say, Sister Carla? Fear of being discouraged. All right. So today, I'm going to eat for dinner this morning, for breakfast, fear of being discouraged. And as you begin to eat your fears, hear what I'm getting ready to say. Eat your fears piece by piece. Swallow it whole. And what I mean by that is you've got to begin to digest the thing that causes you the most fear. And ask yourself the question, why do I have a fear of failure? Why are you here in my life? What have you taken away from me? And when you begin to look at fear as your enemy, we don't look at fear as our enemy. When you begin to look at your fears as your enemy, you have held me down, sitting at jail near done about rocked to death. I know what it's like, Miss Seeley, want to sing and can't. I know what it's like to want to sing and have it beat out you. Until you begin to see your fears as your enemy, and that you have the ability to eat these fears piece by piece. And the way that you eat it is because wherever you have a fear, you begin to get in your word. My fear is that I'm never smart enough. I fear that I'll give the wrong answer. We are going to give wrong answers. It's a part of being human. Understand this. Jeanette Brown, Wicker Brown, understand that the fear of giving wrong information, we are going to do it. There are times I've got to backtrack. Ask yourself this question. Why am I afraid to give the wrong information? People give wrong information all the time. You get on YouTube and post stuff that's wrong information. They aren't afraid to put wrong information out there. So why am I afraid? And when we begin to eat this fear, what we begin to see is that the fear has some place in our life. It's attached to us. Somewhere you gave a wrong answer and you were ridiculed by it. Somewhere you gave a wrong answer and everybody laughed at you. Somewhere you gave a wrong answer and you were punished for it. But what we've got to begin to do is we've got to begin to, you know what, digest that. I realize that happened that one time in my life, but I cannot allow this to continue. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to begin to make a plan to eat your fears, all right? And the way we're going to do it is make a plan. Write out, just like we're talking, you're posting it on here. I need you to post it on some paper. When you begin to start fighting fears, it becomes minimal, right? Think about it. When you first started out with your pizza, you had a whole pizza. But as you ate away at the pizza, now you sit there and be like, I only got 2 slices left. I must have been hungry. Eat your fears. Be so hungry that you eat your fear, that as you begin to look, it begins to disappear from your plate. I have a fear of hurt, not always being enough, and a fear of failure. Why? Because you've had that experience before. But you need to understand that you're not a sum of your worst fears. You're not a sum of your worst examples of worse experiences. And that's what we do. We take the worst pieces or the worst experiences of our lives and we explode them as this is our entire life, our whole life. My whole life, I've had failed experiences. No, because you've had good ones as well. So we've got to stop allowing fear to speak. Whatever, I say this all the time, whatever you feed leads. If you feed fear, it leads your life. If you feed faith, it leads your life. And whatever you feed will also flourish. Whatever you feed leads, then whatever you feed flourish. So feed yourself on the word of God. Feed the faith in your life and watch faith flourish in your life. All right, so make a plan. I need you to write it down. Let's write it down today. Let's make a plan. During coronavirus plague, I overcame my fears. Think about this. During the time when everyone's afraid, we overcome fears. Make a plan for it. Write it down. Then I want you to create a timeline. There's so many people like, I'm going to get on it. When are you going to get on it? When are you going to be done by it? See, we cannot allow ourselves to procrastinate with the most valuable thing that we have. Other than the breath in your lungs, the most valuable thing that you possess are your dreams. And you've got to begin to realize that you've been existing, and you don't begin to live life until you begin to pursue your dreams. If you want to be excited about waking up tomorrow morning, begin to pursue your dreams. It will have you so afraid that you get knots in your stomach just thinking about it. But then after you begin to deal with the butterflies in your stomach and you begin to move and you begin to get into a groove, what happens is you become excited about waking up the next morning, because your dreams will breed a sense of passion in your life. And passion is like fire. It ignites you. So you got to begin to make a plan. And then I want you to create a timeline. Create a timeline. I want to do this in the next 6 months. And this is such a great time because this is the 6-month period. In the next 6 months, I am going to do X, Y, and Z. Write it down right now. Before, respond actively immediately. Whenever the Holy Spirit speaks to you, I tell people this all the time. We got to do this. Respond actively immediately. The longer you wait, you'll start processing. Well, maybe he don't. Respond actively immediately. Write it down. Make a plan. That's what I'm going to do. Then I want you to create a timeline for that plan. What is your 6-month timeline? We're going to do it together. What is your 6-month timeline? I'm going to do this by December 31st. All right. Then I want you to make short goals in between. Why? Because you've got to get in the habit of celebrating victories. It's been so long since many of you have had a victory to celebrate that you've been so happy about. I'm so happy. Yay, yay. You celebrate everybody else. You just like a one-man, one-woman celebration bandwagon. You get to celebrate everybody else, but when do you have an opportunity to celebrate yourself? And so I want you to create some short stops along the way to celebrate yourself. Some short goals. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my plan. That's step number one. Once I do it, I'm going to celebrate that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start researching on this thing. Give myself, 2 weeks to research. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to march myself down there and I'm going to get my DBA. What is a DBA? It's a doing business. Is it a business entity? No, it's not. But it is the start. It is a step. Celebrate. I got my DBA. Yes, call somebody. Be excited about it and be excited for each other. We got to do this. I'm telling you, that way you begin to eat your fears piece by piece, step by step. We've got to begin. We celebrated 4th of July and you weren't even free, most of y'all. I mean, so we are always looking for a reason to celebrate something, but we lack the ability to celebrate ourselves. All right. So I want you to do some short-term goals in which you can begin to celebrate yourself. The fourth thing I want you to do is I want you to take one step every day. Think about this. You are a daily step away from seeing your dreams come true. One step a day. Now, if I ask you to walk a mile with me or 8 miles, this is what I do. I always say, hey, y'all want to go with me? They're like, how far are you going? 8 miles. No, we ain't going with you 8 miles. But if I say, hey, you want to take a walk around the corner? Now it seems different. I'll walk with you. Yeah, let's go. Let me put my shoes on. We make it so hard to obtain our goals because we got to think, I'm going to do this. And then next week we have to be what it is that we said that we were going to do. That's now how dreams are realized. Dreams are realized one step at a time. My brother Terry Reed, y'all need to listen to him because he got dreams going on over there on Genesee, almost at Weber. Put pressure on fear. That's right. Put pressure on fear. Tell it to go. Believe it's gone. Teresa McCall, great opportunity to celebrate yourself. Absolutely. When was the last time you celebrate yourself? Sharice, awesome work, Pascal. God bless you. Go. So one step daily. Look at your success as one step daily. And I'll tell you, step out in faith. The first step that you take is a step of faith. Now listen to this. This is how God operates. Paul Abdul say, you take one step forward, I take two steps. Remember that song? No. When you take one step of faith daily, what happens is faith access, like it's like a minefield. I need you to understand that the roadmap to your dream, look at it this way. You are in Raiders of the Lost Dreams, okay? And this is venturing. You got to begin to understand this. Remember how Indiana Jones would take steps, and if he took a step, a door would open or a booby trap would open. This is how God has rigged our lives. When you take one step of faith towards your dreams, there is a pressure sensitive place in the atmosphere that you have now stepped. I know you walked there before, but when you take this step of faith, what happens is it triggers doors that have been set up for the next move of your blessing. And when you take that step in faith, doors of opportunity automatically open because faith only responds to faith. And I need you to understand that when you take a step into the fear, into the abysmal, you don't know where you're going, how it's going to turn out, and you take a step into the unknown, then he unleashes the next step. It's like Jumanji. When you take a step, he reveals a step. You want to say, God, show me the path to my dream. Show me the path to my success. He's like, you got to take a step. I need you to take a step into the fear. And the moment you take one step, the next step becomes available. The moment you take one step, doors for financing become open. See, faith triggers God's hand. And until you operate in faith, his hand is never revealed. I'm not showing you anything because you don't trust me. And if you don't trust me, you don't get my provisions or my benefits because my benefits and my provisions are hidden in me. And until you can take a step of faith in me, I cannot reveal to you the benefits and the treasures that I have. See, faith causes the unknown to become known. It brings the intangible into the tangible realm. All right. So one step daily. The last thing is I want you to begin, and this is something that you'll do well, plan for your obstacles. As you write that plan, say, when this happens, when they tell me that I can't, this is going to be my response. Already have your answer to your obstacles as a part of your plan. All right. When the bank tells me I can't do it, I already got this one down. I've been saving $5 a day because I'm eating it off daily. And so now that $5 a day is going to accumulate. And over time, you got to plan for the enemy's attack. We are not ignorant of his devices, but with fear and trembling, we've got to begin to work out our own soul salvation. We've got to begin to pray and allow God to operate in our lives. See, you just want to pray, but prayer is an activator. You know what I'm saying? Prayer is an activator. If you get your nails done, there's activators you put in there to make them strong, I guess. But you know, activator, Jerry curl. You know when y'all had them long curls and you would have you have to put activator. Why? Because when you put the activator in, it brought life to the curl. Otherwise, you'll be dry and frizzy. Your dreams are dry and frizzy because you have not used the activator, which is prayer. But prayer then causes you to actively take steps. And when you take your first step in faith, it begins to activate a whole world and you begin to live life like, God, I feel so alive. I didn't know that this is what living was really about. Why? Because you've allowed your dream. The most intrinsic thing that an individual has to them is your power to dream. Don't allow fear to stifle what God has placed in your life. 5 steps. Make a plan, create a timeline, find steps along the way to celebrate. 1 step daily, 1 step at a time. Plan out your obstacles. I hope you guys are having a blessed day today. We're going to continue this. We got 6 months to change. 6 months to a new us, 6 months. It's time for you to have a new end to your engine. I'm so tired of our New Year's, the end of our year. We're looking at New Year's and we're talking about, well, next year I'm going. Let's talk about what we did this year. Let's change the narrative. Instead of talking about what we're going to do, let's talk about what's getting ready to happen. Now, I've got to get out of here. Today at 10 a.m., I'll be on the Art Lewis Show on WSGW. We'll be talking about race relationships. I want to have a conversation with white America. How can we help you to understand what's going on in our life? And why don't you understand some things that you probably should understand? And what we need to realize, this was an amazing word. I'm so glad it was amazing for you, Carla. You all be blessed. Take care of yourselves and each other. Catch me on WSGW at 10 a.m. We're going to talk about what's going on in the world. God bless you. Grace and peace.